What it is, you guys, is your girl Cadillac. Hi, I am Cadillac Dixon. I am the Draw My Life prison wife. I am the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before all fades to black. Yeah, it's your girl Cadillac. Yes, coming through on February the 2nd. Second day of February. And yes, this is Black History Month. Black history, my history, your history, our history. It is everyone's history. Because yes, it did happen. And I was a little bit earlier recording my nephew as he told his speech. He won a contest in his school, and he's going to be delivering his speech on who he thought was a hero, and he picked Malcolm X. Okay, so I wanted him to recite his speech because it is a very well written speech. That was the one a few weeks ago. I was telling you about how he was walking with me at the park because he was trying to butter me up to help him with his report. Girl, his report came out good because he has won the first go round of that contest, picked out of many students to give this speech about Malcolm X. Okay, so I do have a video that is uploading very slowly. So it will be out where he's going to be reciting his speech. But oh my gosh, that conversation that we were having, because I believe in telling kids history, what happened, what really happened, like why things are the way they are now. Don't just look at things with this surface value. Like, no, we need to dig deeper. If you tell me something, girl, I'm not going to believe it until I research it myself, until I did some critical thinking about it and I come to a conclusion. I do not believe stuff just because you told me to believe this. No, that is not who I am. I'm a critical thinker, baby. My mind never cuts off. So I also try to teach the next generation to do that. Don't just take things as is. Figure out why somebody wants you to believe this way. So I always try to teach kids history and stuff like that as much as I can. Sometimes kids don't want to hear it, but me and my nephew got into some good conversation about history here in Florida. I'm the prison wife, Draw My Life prison wife, and my husband was wrongfully convicted, excessively sentenced in the state of Florida. And I do believe that race had a big play in his wrongful conviction. And it and uh, anyways, it got me into he told me of a documentary that was on Ocoee, Florida. And I never knew that they had a documentary about Ocoee. Well, if you watched any of my videos from my Draw My Life that I did upload today, girl, even if you watched 2 minutes, because I know you ain't got no hour to watch your girl. No. But in that one, and then I also I was doing an autobiography that I was actually writing. Your girl got some good writing skills. That was my Chronicles of a Prison Wife. I wanted to tell the whole story of my life. Like, girl, this is like, it's really good. It's not just me talking, it's my writing, like as if it was in a book form. So that one I talked about it a little bit and also in my unsung, where when I was in school, I was one of two Black students. I lived in a neighborhood where there was only two Black families. So we come from an all white city. Like, girl, it was, you didn't see people like me. I did not see people as brown as I am in our city, in my school. None of that. When Black History Month came around, they was like, girl, do you know what happened? I'm like, "Girl, I'm trying to figure out myself. I wasn't even there." Girl. And I remember on picture day, oh my gosh, they were so like night. They didn't know anything about African Americans' hair. And picture day, they give you that little itty bitty tiny old comb, and they want you to look like comb your hair up or whatever. So back then, the picture guy would try to play with the students, like give a joke or whatever, and they would always call me Rudy Huxtable. Like, I guess that was the only famous little black girl that they seen on TV. But yeah, it was crazy. And then I told you how um I was kind of made fun of because of my hair texture, the braids that I wore and stuff like that. So I was made to know that I was different. But and I also tell you the story of how I found out I was black was through the students telling me, "Girl, you black." I'm like, "No, I'm brown." And they're like, "No, girl." And I went to my mama and she told me, "Yeah, you black, Keita." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I am brown and you are yellow and they are pink." Girl, I quickly found out that I was a black girl, not one. But yeah, so jokes aside, that documentary is deep. Oh my gosh. It's like it shook me. Like I literally have chill bumps. And like I told you back then that oh, we would drive past the lake and they like on my way to school and they would be telling us, that's the lake where they used to drown. Like they used to tell us stuff like that. Or the trees, like they have these big like hovering trees and they would tell us those are the trees that and we were being told that as students, and it's like it's so crazy. But then I also tell you how we all just kind of we realized we were different colors. I was a different color from them, but we would just say, "Oh, okay," and we'll just still play. Now we did recognize our differences, but it wasn't like racist. And it's like I didn't know that was in the bloodline of our city. I didn't know until I got older. Once I became like almost grown, that's when I realized that, oh my gosh, like this is going on right in our city, right up under our noses. And it was also this little small story I do have. I can tell a longer story time later where my daughter actually went to that high school, and because they used to bus us out to West Orange, and I used to wonder why the heck is we going way across town to a whole nother city to go to school. But I didn't know back then that they had to get more cultures into the schools, like they had to diversify the schools, and that's how they did. They would bus us across town. So when that school, I guess later they changed the little city lines or whatever, and they built this new high school. And my daughter went to that high school, and it was she was in class, like I think it was in between class, and somebody pushed her and was like, "Move inward," like pushed her. And she went and told the teacher, and the teacher kind of didn't do anything, my daughter was telling me. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have this talk with her. That talk where you have to tell your child that people are going to treat them differently because of the color of their skin. Like, do you know how heartbreaking that is to have to tell your child that? And it became to where she didn't like that school. She didn't want to go there, but it was a better education, which is crazy. Like the level of education, they were an A school back then, and some of the schools that were in the um urban areas were not A schools at the time. They climbed their way up, yes. And she wanted to leave the school, and she kept begging me to go to the school in the other neighborhood where all her friends were going. And I was like, no, money, unfortunately, moving is not going to solve it, because you it's hard to be a black person and never experience that ism. Like how, like, and I was trying to explain to her, unfortunately, we can't just run away from it. It's going to happen. and you just hold your head up, and you are, I don't care what they think they know about black people, you are smart, you're intelligent, you're a beautiful black woman, and carry yourself like you got sense, you got knowledge, you smart, you look, make everything that they thought about black people, make them think twice. and And it's so heartbreaking that you have to go through that. You have to tell your child that they're going to be discriminated against. They're going to deal with Oh my gosh. But so at first I made her stay at the school because I was always about education. Education was going to break that chain, that cycle in our family, that cycle of lack. Education. My mother drilled that in my head. Oh my gosh. Rest in peace to my mother. But she graduated at age 53. And every single one of her daughters, except for my sister, she did graduate from high school, but due to, you already know, she's epileptic, and it was very hard for her to get through high school, so she didn't follow through with school. But all her other daughters graduated. Even me, the one that couldn't do nothing right, I even went back and graduated. So I instilled in my daughter that education can open doors that may not be open to you without that education. And I want her to receive the best education. But when my mother did pass away, like very unexpected, it was like one day my mama was here and the next day she was gone. Like she was just going up into the Publix buying ice cream and stuff like that. And then she was gone. It was like if I could forget that one day, then my mother would still actually be here. Like just pretend that day didn't happen. But yeah, so when she did pass, my mind was elsewhere, and I told her, fine, fine, just you can change schools. I need to do a whole story time about that. And it was in an urban neighborhood. It was crime going on, like people getting like popped outside the little gas station that's across the street from the school where all the students hang out at. And I'm like, that's where you want to go? And my baby went to that school. She got in the dual enrollment program. She excelled in that. She excelled in that high school and got her full ride scholarship from that school. Yes. But yeah, crazy. But watching that documentary, it kind of answers some question as to why we never heard that. Because in the video that I just recorded with my nephew, I was saying that Ocoee was an all black town, and like nobody knew that. Like I didn't know that. I was surprised by that. I'm like, how is this an all black town when I moved here being the first black, not the first black person, but oh my goodness. So they basically took the land from black people. They took our land. They took it. Um, and well, I'm not a resident of Ocoee, but we lived very like right at Ocoee. I went to school. I was bussed out to Ocoee, so they took our land. When I said our land, I mean my people's land. Girl, we all are one. They took our land from us, and so crazy. So I wanted to review that documentary. I'm so glad my nephew did lead me to that. This documentary has some key players like in reform, like I'm with that criminal justice reform because the underlining like of that is that ism. That ism is very apparent in our criminal justice system, girl. And it kind of answers the question as to why our state as well will not move forward with criminal justice reform. Now, the crazy thing is when we moved here, it wasn't all white, like you barely found some brown anywhere. But now the demographic has changed. You got every race of people, walk of people. You got everybody living here, and it's like a fusion of all types of communities. And it wasn't that, but it's like the people that run it are still with that old mindset. And that kind of answers the question why all the criminal justice reform we try to do, when we're clearly showing you, look, this is racism, when you're giving someone that is Caucasian this little amount of time, like a little tap on the wrist, and you're taking a whole lifetime away from an African American man for something smaller, lesser, or the same charge. Like that's and then the prisons, especially in the North Florida, girl, these isms are all through our society here. And it also speaks to why they don't want that change. Like, but I'm sorry, but it's affecting our families. Our families want to live. We want to just live just like you want to live. Like, we just want to live. We want to see our kids grow up. We want to work and have a decent place to stay and stuff like that. Like, I'm just like you. Like, that's what I really want everybody to understand. Though I might speak different. My nose might be wider, girl, but we are the same. We're human. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. Like, girl, that's so crazy. But it makes me want to review this documentary. So I am. Instead of talking about it, I am. Black History Month, the perfect time to do that. It had Geraldine Thompson. Oh my gosh, I remember my mother. She was so excited when she was in school. She got the opportunity to interview Miss Geraldine Thompson. And she is actually like, she's a congresswoman in Orlando. And she had this Wells built museum. It's an African American museum. I actually did donate some art to them when Michael Jackson passed away. They wanted artwork or anything that had to do with Michael Jackson. I did donate artwork. If I can find a picture, I will link it in the description box. But my mother was so overjoyed when she got to interview her. And actually, when my mother did pass away, Miss Geraldine Thompson wrote a letter, very kind letter, kind words about my mother, that was read at her funeral. And it also has Randolph Bracy. As you know, Randolph Bracy has been putting these bills for criminal justice here, reform in Orlando. Oh my gosh, we're back in session. Last year, it was things that we actually got that 65% to be put on the to be passed, but it didn't get passed. I'm sorry, we got it into committee, which it never gets there. It's always on the chopping block. They're like out of there. No way. Florida does not want to go to 80 to 65%. In Florida, you will do more time on your prison sentence than almost any other state. There's like two other states that you do a lot of time on. But Florida, um dinosaur like sentences, and then you have to do 85% of your time, as opposed to other states that's 65. So we want 65 as well, but they are fighting us. They do not want to go to the 65. So though it did get into committee, they did not pass it. With 65% pass, Marcello could have maybe another 6 to 7 more years, and then he could be released. With 85, Marcello has almost 17 more years to do in prison on a wrongful conviction. Like, girl. And I also got a story I need to do about that, about how they doing people with wrongful convictions in Florida. There are so many stipulations where they trying to beat these people out of their money. Once you prove you have been wrongfully convicted, you're exonerated. Do you know this state do not want to pay? Like, girl, there are certain people that if you were convicted previously, so say you already had a conviction and then you're wrongfully convicted, baby, you cannot get any money. And then also, once they acknowledge that you're wrongfully convicted, You have 90 days to file the paperwork to get paid. Girl, this place is a mess. I'm telling you, Florida is a mess, and they really need to come up to par because it's a different demographic. It's a different world now. But crazy. Just pray for our state. Our state really needs to come up to. Mm, but it has Randolph Bracy. He is introducing a lot of the criminal justice reform bills. He's still doing that, and hopefully this year, they're coming back with a vengeance, fighting again. We want the second look bill, saying that convictions. They recognize that there's a lot of bogus convictions. So a second look is saying that somebody can just go and look over the case in Marcello Jackson's, case as well. If somebody just opened this case and really looked at it, you would see so much wrong in it. Like I just me explaining it to you, you see so much wrong in it. But here, once they close the case and that gavel hits that desk, is sealed. It is so hard to come back off of a conviction here. And the second look would mean anybody can petition, just, hey, can I have a second look at my case? And that's all it's saying, second look, to make sure that these convictions are legit. They don't want to do that. So why don't you want to do that? Is it because you're scared you're going to find something? Hmm. But yeah, then it also has who else was in that documentary? Oh, Melanie Holt, crazy. She's the newscaster that actually, when I had my little identity theft, she was the one that did the story on me back in the early 2000s when identity theft was something that people just really did not know what to do, didn't know how to do, didn't know nothing. I was one of the first ones that did research and figuring out how to get through an identity theft. It was hard. There was no help from nowhere. Let me just tell you that. I need to do a whole story time about that. That was a freaking nightmare that I went through in my early 20s. Like, girl, almost every injustice that could happen has happened to me. Like, am I the magnet for injustice? Crazy. But yeah, so she was in there. Um and who else we got? It was the radio station Star 94.5, the Star 94.5. Um their one of their DJs was in there. Uh oh, Girly. Yes, Attorney Gurley was in there. Now, Gurley was the attorney that I really was trying to reach out to see if he would help with Marcello's case, because he actually was the representative of Miss Jackson, which was a woman whose son, the police officer, the same police officer that falsified reports in Marcello's case, he and four other officers were accused of using over, like, overkill. They were chasing a suspect, and they had him down on the ground, and that's it. Once you get the suspect, you're supposed to like ring them in and take them and book them, and why they saw fit to shoot 51 more times is beyond me. And it didn't make sense to anybody. And they asked them, hey, he was on the ground. Why did y'all continue to shoot 51 times? And they all had different stories. They said none of the police officers' stories added up. And being that that same officer is the one that falsified Marcello's reports, I was trying to think that Gurley could probably help us because he's already familiar with this officer and his bogusness. But yeah, he's in a documentary. His wife's in a documentary, and this is crazy. So this is my new project. I'm gonna maybe I need to really take my time with it. So maybe it won't come out to the end of you know Black History Month, but you know what, Black History Month ain't even just limited to this month. Like, we make history every day, girl. I make history every day, for real. So yeah, maybe that'll be my project for this year. And I have some other things. I do have my poem that I did write called Little Black Girl. Isn't that ironic? But I love that poem. Oh my gosh. I could give you a little bit of it. And then I can link in the description the full one if I mess up here, girl. Okay, so I did write this when I was 15 years old. 15, I believe, maybe 16. No, I think I was 15. It's called Little Black Girl. My mother loved this poem. Like, before I tried to rap, I wasn't even thinking about no rap, none of that. I was a poet. I was a spoken word poet. Okay. When I'm walking down the street, I got a slip in my slide, a dip in my walk, a song in my head, a voice in my talk, a feeling in my heart, a meaning in my thought. So what styles do I sport? French braid cornrows and afro puffs. Hold on. Let me keep going because you know not enough. Natural combs, straight combs, and picks. Hair that's naturally thick. Kinky, curly, straight, and nappy. Anything that makes me happy. And my body built, I'm big and tall, short and skinny, thick and thin, good and plenty. Got eyes like chestnut, lips that kill. See, I'm keeping this on the real. With my color like caramel, breath like cinnamon, sweet like sugar, and thick like honey. Please, I want love, not just your money. Don't want too many material things. Affection and friendship is what I need. If you cut me, will I not bleed? See, I'm the same as you, no better, no worse. Your pediatrician, doctor, and nurse, judge, jury, and your lawyer, sister, mother, and your daughter. So who am I? I'm a little black girl. Little black girls made of sugar and spice and everything nice. I told you once, so don't ask twice. Why such confidence, you ask? It comes from past experience. I learned from the past mistakes I made. I study hard. I make the grade. I strive to be among the rest, or maybe better than the best. I reach for the moon, but if I should fail amongst the stars, I will prevail. I'm going to make it. Yes, I am. Because I'm more than just a little black girl. Yes. And I also, that poem, I got to perform opening for Life Jennings in 2019. Girl, I did not get booed that day. They was just clapping it up, girl. Like, little black girl. All right, guys. So now I'm not so little, but I'm a black woman now. Yes, and I just I can't stand injustice. So, I just fight. All right, guys. It's your girl Cadillac.